This is Glasgow Rangers Nation live, well, kind of live, and I am Owen James. This is all your latest Rangers FC news, guys. Please smash that sub and help us to grow the channel, guys. We've got a fair bit to go through today in the video. It's Monday morning. No one likes a Monday morning, do they? No one likes it. Why is it? What's so bad about Monday? Monday, it's like the ugly child of the family. It's like the COVID of the flu family. It's like the swine flu. It's just the one that no one likes, especially when you've got work. Got that later. Okay, so we're going to look ahead, a little bit of look ahead. So at the end of the video, hang on for the end of the video. We're going to tell you all the games we've got coming up here on the channel. Got a number of games coming up live stream, so please obviously help us. Obviously, look out for those. We're going to come up and feature those for you. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the Cifu robbery, the great Cifuentes robbery. A few more details building on what we covered in the video yesterday evening. Yes, Nils Koppen, a man who needs a statue building to him right now, right this instant. That man needs a statue. I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, he genuinely does. If he has pulled off what I think he has pulled off the deal of the century. I mean, the guy is an absolute genius. Absolute genius. I mean, so amazing. He makes Albert Einstein look thick. We're also going to talk about a link that has resurfaced in a number of media outlets across Europe, which is the Rangers link to Moroccan central midfielder Oussama Targhalline, who has now finished with Morocco at the Olympics. Now, obviously, this link was one that emerged a while ago, and then nothing happened. However, Targhalline has just finished at the Olympics, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Let's start off by talking about the whole Jose Cifuentes saga. Now, as I mentioned in the video last night, he came in as the missing link. He came in with such promise, such talent, such ability, and never ever failed, never ever lived up to it, did he? It was pretty awful. It was sent out on loan to Cruzeiro. That loan was then cancelled. Apparently, they paid a compensation fee. All good news, getting a bit of money into the club. He then came back to Glasgow, where we know he hasn't settled. Now, we know that he is, according to a number of reports, and not just in English media, but Scottish media and also Greek media as well, and some well-respected sources as well, about to join Aris Thessaloniki, as I said yesterday. Now, it is a loan initially, which obviously is disappointing not to get some money straight into the club, but obviously we free up his salary. But the deal that Nils Koppen has done, I'm sorry, is just an absolute daylight robbery. I don't know if he showed him videos of a different player. I don't know if he showed him videos of him playing at LAFC. I don't know how he did it. I don't know what he did. And I genuinely don't care what he did because he's done a miracle. Now, according to different sources, I've seen 3 different amounts mentioned. I've seen loan with an obligation to buy at 4 million, loan with an obligation to buy at 4.2 million, and loan with an obligation to buy at 4.5 million. Now, if it was to be sold for that top figure there, that would represent a £3 million profit on a player that has been fairly average, and that's being kind. If it's the bottom figure, that's still a profit of £2.5 million on a player that has been very average. I mean, that is the trading model taken to the nth degree. That is the trading model, and you fleeced the living daylights out of the buyer. I mean, that is like one of those phone scams, isn't it? When they ring up poor, vulnerable pensioners and con money out of them. It really is up there. Did Nils Koppen, con money out of the Aris Thessaloniki? I don't say a con, but, he did some sort of dodgy deal on the side, and kind of got them to believe that Jose Cifuentes was, I don't know, Ronaldo. I don't know what he did or how he did it. And I don't care what he did or how he did it. But to get that amount of money next summer for him is absolutely astronomical. Now, it is a loan with an obligation to buy. So there's no backing out of it. They've signed a deal. They've signed an agreement. And even if he's shit, they've still got to buy him. I mean, that's quite funny, really. It's like you going in and buying a washing machine and it doesn't work, but you've still got to pay for it. Now, I don't know what he's gone on. Maybe he's gone on potential. He's still quite a young player, Cifuentes. Maybe they believe Greek football suits him better. It's a bit slower, a bit less aggressive than Scottish football. Maybe, I don't know what he sold him on, but he's certainly done a magic trick on Jose Cifuentes and Aris Thessaloniki. But you know what? Being serious for a minute, I know that's hard, but being serious for a minute, I genuinely think that this is demonstration that that Koppen has started to get Rangers behaving in terms of transfers, in terms of deals done, in terms of contracts, in terms of all this basis that builds one, a trading model, builds two, a transfer model. You know, gets us behaving like a modern 21st century European club. This is basically what we're doing is, we're actually starting to behave like a modern football club, actually selling players and putting into contract add-on clauses and sell-on clauses like clubs do. We are not allowing clubs to take the piss anymore with loan deals, in terms of the fact that we're going to loan your player, we're going to use him for a season, and we'll give him you back then, and we'll go, we don't want him. Like Alex Lowry, for example, that was half a season, I know, but you know what I mean? Now we're putting in deals where it's a loan with an obligation to buy, so they can't just go after a year, here, have him back. He's rubbish. We don't want him anymore. It really is a step up by Koppen, a fantastic step up. So you know what? I think it really demonstrates that, not only, number one, are we taking the trading model build seriously in terms of what we're doing, in terms of obviously these add-ons, the sell-on clauses, the loans with the obligation to buy, or the loans with an option to buy. We're actually structuring deals and contracts, in a modern 21st century top European club way. Nils Koppen is turning us, I think, into, like I've said on previous videos, looking at the models at Ajax, looking at the models at PSV Eindhoven, looking at the models at Feyenoord, putting us on an equal footing with those clubs. Now, I don't think it's at all unrealistic to compare Rangers to PSV Eindhoven, to Feyenoord, and to Ajax. The Eredivisie is similar in a way to the SPL. And I know obviously there's slightly more stronger teams, and it's towards the top of the SPL, towards the top of the Eredivisie, with obviously Twente carried in there, AZ carried in there. So there's 3 to 5 teams there that compete rather than just the 2 in Scotland. But in terms of the structure after that, it's not very strong, is it? So I think it does demonstrate a similarity. So I do think that there is something to be admired by the way that PSV do business, that Feyenoord do business, that Ajax do business in terms of this trading model, bringing players through, generating huge incomes, using those incomes to invest in the playing squad, selling that. It's just an all-round cycle that just benefits the club, isn't it? And I think Koppen is finally moving the club towards that modern 21st century club, rather than a club that was stuck in the 1970s, 1980s in the way it did business. So all very positive. And like I said, fleecing between 4.2, between 4 and 4.5 million out of a club for Jose Cifuentes is pretty good. Okay, so let's move it along a little bit. Let's talk about this young man here, Oussama Targhalline. He is a Moroccan central midfield player. Oussama, no, not the same way, not spelt the same, don't worry, as that other fella that is currently swimming somewhere in the Arabian Sea. Not him. Now, he's just come off the back of playing for Morocco under 23s at the Olympics, where they finished 3rd in the Olympics. Obviously, France and Spain contested the gold medal match. Spain coming out on top 5-3. Spain, the gold medalist, France, the silver medalist, and Morocco, the bronze medalists. So, this is building on, Moroccan football is really on the grow, isn't it? It is a national federation and a team that is doing phenomenally well. Obviously, fantastic display at the last World Cup as well. I think they finished 3rd at the last World Cup. It's a system that, is producing players that is enabling Morocco to become a real force in world football. It's a players that produces good players like Ashraf Hakimi, who plays for PSG. IF Agard, who plays for West Ham United, Rahman Saiss, their captain, Chadi Riyad, who plays for Crystal Palace, Sofiane Amrabat, who plays for Manchester United, Brahim Diaz, who plays for Real Madrid, Sabari, who plays for PSV Eindhoven, Hakim Ziyech, who's played for Chelsea, now plays for Galatasaray, and Adili, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen. So their players are playing all over Europe and at top clubs. Now, Targhalline in himself is a player who has, really, come to the fore in this tournament and looks very, very good in the World Cup. Now, in terms of Oussama Targhalline, and we have featured him on a video before, he is 22 years old, so a young up-and-coming player. He's over 6 foot. He's Moroccan. He's a central midfielder. He's right-footed. He's under contract till 2025 with an option for a further year at his club, which is Le Havre in France. In terms of his transfers, he started with AM Football in Morocco before going to Marseille for 500,000. He went to Marseille B, to Marseille. He was then loaned to Alanyaspor in Turkey before returning to Marseille. At the end of his contract at Marseille, he then went on a free transfer to Le Havre in the French First Division. Now, in terms of the player himself, he's played predominantly as a central midfield player. He's played 28 times there for Le Havre, scoring 1 goal and 2 assists. He's had 8 appearances as a defensive midfielder and 2 appearances as an attacking midfielder. I mean, in terms of appearances, he's still sort of quite young in his career. 28 appearances for Le Havre, 11 for Marseille B, 7 for Alanyaspor, 3 for Marseille, and 1 for Alanyaspor's reserve. So, quite young in his career, but certainly a player who is coming through, a player who is very, very highly thought of. In terms of what Targhalline brings, he's got a great focus in terms of his passing ability. He reads the game exceptionally well. His distribution over short and long distances is very, very good indeed. He can get stuck in as well, likes a tackle. If you were to put him into a midfield, say alongside Conor Barron and Mohamed Diamande, that would be a quality 3-man midfield. If you've also got a situation where, I think, a lot of us have talked, haven't we, about a 6. We need a 6. We need a 6. We need a 6. Well, perhaps we've already got one in Conor Barron. Bringing in Targhalline and bringing in Diamande, obviously, already gives us those options to push Targhalline as the 8, Diamande as the 10, or kind of another 8. Get rid of the 10 and play a more 3-man system. Play a more 3-man system in there. And, Targhalline certainly has the ability to link up, ability to pass, ability to play that game, go box to box. He's certainly a very, very talented player. And I know there's concerns perhaps over his appearance record, the number of games he's played, etc., etc. But you know what? If you're good enough, you're old enough. And I think that's something we need to sort of exercise. Now, Targhalline, obviously, if he came along, would have a Hamza Igman, obviously, who's already at the club, and the Moroccan player who has a very, very bright future. This is, a player that we are allegedly looking at. And I think, this is a player that we are going back to and looking at and looking at bringing in. And now the Olympics is over, certainly getting stuck into this transfer. I think is a option for a really good op Rangers. He will be, I think, a very good quality addition if he can be added to the squad. Okay, so let's look forward to this week, guys. Well, obviously, the big focus for this week is Tuesday night's Champions League second leg tie at Hampden Park, where Rangers will be seeking to put Dynamo Kiev to the sword and progress to the playoff round to play either Red Bull Salzburg or Twente Ascende. Now, that was 1-1 after the first leg. It is obviously very delicately poised, this game, but, we're hoping that we can turn Hampden into a Hambrox and rock Dynamo Kiev and really take the game to them. And obviously on the channel, we'll build up to the game. We'll talk more about teams, about team news, formation shapes, etc., building up to the game on Tuesday night. So, look, this is a massive game, a huge game. It's a game that will obviously, if we were to progress through it, if you get to the playoff round, that means if you lose in the playoff round, you go straight into the Europa League group stage. And obviously the big benefit there is progressing to this playoff round gives you the opportunity to get into the Champions League itself and get all that lovely money. So this is huge. This is huge. And we will, of course, be bringing you coverage of that game here on the channel on a live watch along on Tuesday night. In terms of obviously looking at the next few games that are upcoming for Rangers, obviously Dynamo Kiev on Tuesday night is the big one, 7:45 kickoff at Hampden. The next one after that is a 5:45 kickoff in the League Cup. So we're out of league action, straight into League Cup action against St Johnstone in the second round. We'll, of course, be bringing you live watch-along coverage of that game as well. And I think what will be interesting for me in that Scottish League Cup is to what extent Philippe Clement rotates the team, to what extent he allows players, say, like Liam Kelly, Adam Devine, Danilo even, to come in and actually play a part in that game. How strong will he go in terms of the lineup? How many so-called first teamers will he play? Then the following Saturday, the 24th, again, live watch along here on the channel as Rangers take on Ross County. And of course, the big one on the 1st of September at 12:30, Sunday, 12:30 kickoff. We will be bringing you another live stream. The first Old Firm game of the season, the first Battle of Glasgow, as we take on that lot from across our city, guys. So let's just recap that. All those next 4 games: Rangers v Kiev Tuesday night, or Kiev, Rangers v St Johnstone, Rangers v Ross County, Celtic v Rangers, all live watch alongs here on the channel. So please obviously come and join me for those games. Well, as always, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you here on the channel. Please obviously subscribe to help the channel to keep on growing. And the 2 things I always ask of you guys is, number 1, please smash the like on the way out. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.